Karen snapped when I blocked her shortcut, then got publicly arrested on her own street. I knew something was off the first time Karen knocked on my door. Not because she was rude at first, she wasn't. Not because she was pushy yet, but because she looked around before she knocked, like a cat casing a house for entry, not a neighbor dropping by. My name is Lucas Doyle. I'm 38, a civil engineer by trade, recently divorced, and new to the gated neighborhood of Bellwood Estates. I'd moved into my fixer-upper on Cypress Court just 3 months prior when Karen's short platinum hair, perfectly white flats, clipboard in hand came by with cookies. "Welcome to Bellwood," she said, tone sweet as battery acid. "I'm Karen Mitchell, HOA president." That's president, not chair. Just a friendly hello and a heads up about the guidelines. She handed me a printed packet of HOA rules thick enough to choke a donkey. I took the cookies. I didn't eat them, and I didn't realize it then. But refusing to give Karen what she expected immediate submission would change everything. Bellwood was quiet. That's why I moved there. A tight loop of 24 homes built around a cul-de-sac with only one legal exit onto Woodland Avenue. My property sat at the inner bend of the loop, facing a short gravel driveway that wasn't even a road, just an unpaved utility strip ending in a gate that connected to Forest Trail, the adjacent neighborhood. That gate, I owned it. It was on my property, fully enclosed in the deed, installed by the previous owner as an emergency access road, but kept padlocked for years. City maps confirmed it private access, no easement, no public right-of-way. That tiny strip of dirt is what started a war. Karen wanted to open the gate. "Just a shortcut," she said. "It would reduce traffic at the Woodland exit. Besides, Forest Trail folks are asking to join our HOA. We'll need the connection." "No," I replied simply. "It's private, and more cars on this end makes it harder for my kid to play out front." Karen blinked. Once. Twice. "Oh, I see. So you're not interested in being part of the greater community?" I smiled. "I'm interested in keeping my yard safe." She didn't like that. 3 days later, I came home to a group of volunteers in bright yellow vests, digging at the gravel near the gate. "Excuse me," I stepped out of my truck. "What are you doing?" One of them, a man I'd never seen before, replied, "HOA directive. Clearing future access path? You're on private property," I said. Karen emerged from the shrubs with a measuring tape and an infuriating smile. "Oh, Lucas, don't overreact. The HOA has decided it's time to unlock Bellwood's potential." "No," I said again. "Get off my property. Now." That night, I installed cameras. Then I filed a cease and desist through my lawyer. I printed the property line from the city assessor and posted it on the gate in clear, waterproof plastic. Karen retaliated by fining me $500 for unauthorized signage. That's when I knew she wasn't just power-hungry. She was delusional. The real drama started a week later when I did the unthinkable. I blocked her car. Karen had started using the gravel strip illegally, bypassing the main road to save herself 90 seconds on the school run. She drove right through my lot, wheels kicking up dust, her HOA badge swinging from the rearview mirror like it gave her permission. I placed 2 steel planters and a motion-activated sprinkler across the gate entrance. When she hit the water jets full speed one morning, she lost her mind, screaming, fuming. She stormed up to my porch like a tornado in pearls. "Remove those obstructions." "Not happening," I said, calm as a lake. "You're trespassing. Consider yourself blocked." Karen stepped forward like she might hit me. I stepped back, hand on my phone. She didn't strike me. She called the cops. The cops arrived with lights flashing and confusion already baked into their posture. 2 cruisers pulled up within 5 minutes of Karen's 911 call. Officer Alston and Officer Ramirez stepped out, local guys. Decent. The kind who still wave to kids and know half the town by first name. I was standing at the edge of my yard, hands in full view, with Skylar, my 10-year-old, watching from the window behind me. Karen was pacing like a tiger in a too small cage, phone in one hand, HOA binder in the other. "He blocked a public right-of-way," she shouted before the officers even got near us. I want him fined, arrested. This is a violation of the Safety Standards and Community Access Code. Officer Alston held up a hand like a referee. Ma'am, we're going to need you to calm down. Let's talk one at a time. She didn't. He's obstructing emergency access. That gate leads to Forest Trail, and my constituents over there are, I don't answer to your made-up bylaws. Karen, I cut in, cool and steady. And this isn't a public road. It's on my deed. You are trespassing. Again. Officer Ramirez stepped closer. Mr. Doyle, do you have proof of the property line? Yep, sir. I pulled out the laminated copy I kept now in a folder by the porch, handed it over. Ramirez flipped through, brows raising slightly. And the HOA, he asked. I gestured toward her, not recognized by the city. She's self-appointed. Zero enforcement rights. Zero authority over my property. Officer Alston looked at Karen. Ma'am, is there a court order granting the HOA authority over this lot? I am the HOA president. She snapped. I don't need a court order. I was voted in. By whom? I asked. She blinked. Silence. The cop didn't press it. He turned back to me. You're within your rights, Mr. Doyle. She needs to stop using your property. If she continues, you can pursue civil trespass. Karen exploded. You're siding with him. With this loner who's undermining the integrity of Bellwood. Alston shook his head. I'm siding with the law, ma'am. Karen's face flushed deep red. Her hands trembled around her clipboard. This isn't over, she hissed, and she meant it. The next day, I woke up to find someone had slashed my mailbox clean off its post. A sharp, deliberate cut, not the work of some bored teenager. I checked my cameras, grainy footage, a figure in a hoodie, moving fast. No plates, no face, but I knew she was unraveling. Then she escalated. On Thursday, I received an email from a law firm titled Immediate HOA Compliance Action Required. A cease and desist demanding that I restore full community access through the rear gate or face community-funded litigation for obstruction of emergency ingress. I recognized the law firm. It wasn't a law firm. It was a document template service she'd copied and rebranded with a fake letterhead. I found the exact template online in 5 minutes. Still, I forwarded the letter to my real attorney. His reply, this isn't legal, it's cute. But I'll send a real cease and desist back. She's begging for a countersuit. Skylar didn't understand most of what was going on, but she understood the mood. She saw the stress in my jawline, the tension in Jessie's shoulders when we picked her up from her mom's house. She started asking if she could sleep with the curtains closed, even though she used to love the stars. That's when I realized this wasn't just about a gate. It was about peace, and Karen was poisoning it. On Saturday, I heard shouting from the front yard. I rushed out to find Karen standing on the gravel strip again with 3 folding chairs and a group of residents I'd never seen before. 2 held clipboards. 1 was live streaming. We're conducting a community vote, Karen announced, her voice already brittle, in accordance with the Bellwood Covenant of Standards. You're on my land, I said, quiet but firm. This is not a public area, she smirked. Per HOA Emergency Resolution 11. 3B, your property has been designated as transitional access space for community governance. Karen, I said, stepping closer. You're trespassing. She ignored me and began reading from a typed page. All residents in favor of immediate gate access to Forest Trail and the removal of unauthorized obstructions say aye. Her people nodded. Aye. She beamed. The ayes have it. I walked back inside, called the sheriff, and waited. They came. Again. And this time, so did the press. A neighbor had tipped off a local outlet about the conflict. A small team showed up during the incident with mics, cameras, and very raised eyebrows. The video went viral on Facebook within hours. Karen, in her HOA vest, screaming into the mic about civil duty and non-compliant residents threatening the balance of the neighborhood. Me, calm as ever, holding a folder and saying one line that ended up in headlines. This isn't a community vote. This is a tantrum in stolen parking space. By Monday morning, her world cracked. The Bellwood HOA Facebook group turned on her. Someone posted screenshots of her manipulating fake bylaws. Another neighbor came forward with video of Karen threatening to report their yard gnomes to code enforcement. A man named Greg, an actual real estate agent, revealed she'd forged his signature on the HOA formation petition. By Tuesday, 8 families signed a petition to formally dissolve the fake HOA. 3 more followed. And then came the big one. The city council got involved. Karen's fake documents had triggered an automatic zoning review. A code enforcement officer visited Bellwood and found she had posted illegal signage on multiple properties without consent or permits. Fined $7,500. She showed up on my lawn one final time. Not in a vest, no clipboard, just herself, flushed, furious, and fragile. "You think you've won," she said, "but you don't belong here. You're just a bitter man who wanted attention." I looked her in the eye. I didn't want attention. "Karen, I wanted you to stop acting like a god on someone else's lawn." She stared at me, like she wanted to scream. Then she got in her car and peeled off. That was the last time I saw her. Karen didn't vanish quietly. Even after the HOA page was deleted, even after the sheriff confirmed that she had no legal standing and the city slapped her with fines, she still believed she was right. That's the thing with people like her, they don't see boundaries, just inconveniences. And I had become her biggest one, but her authority was collapsing faster than her grip on reality. The day after her last showdown on my lawn, the Bellwood neighborhood group chat exploded. Screenshots, video clips. One neighbor posted Karen's latest emergency HOA memo, a hastily written letter shoved into everyone's mailbox. It was a 4-page screed titled, "The Community Coup, How One Man Undermined the Moral Fabric of Bellwood." I was mentioned by name 11 times. She accused me of being an anti-community agent, of colluding with City Hall to collapse the HOA, and even suggested I had bribed the media to defame a devoted civic leader. One resident, Angela from Lot 5, replied publicly, "Karen, please stop. You're scaring people. HOA doesn't even exist." Another followed, "We never elected you. You printed your own badge. We were just too polite to say anything." And then Greg, the actual realtor who'd originally rented her the house, posted the final nail. "She forged my signature. I'm filing a report." The next day, a process server walked up Karen's driveway and handed her the lawsuit. Fraud, harassment, unauthorized use of private property, tampering with city notices. She lost it, threw the papers into the air, shrieked loud enough that even the mailman froze at the next house down. 2 of her remaining allies, those who'd shown up at the vote on my gravel, quietly left the neighborhood by week's end. Bellwood was healing. Karen was unraveling. But just when we thought it was over, she went too far. It happened on a Thursday morning. Skylar had just walked out to the curb with me, backpack over her shoulder, ready to catch the school bus. I was sipping coffee on the porch when I saw the SUV, Karen's SUV, rolling slowly up the street. At first, I thought maybe she was just driving by, pride wounded but harmless. Then she pulled into my driveway and didn't stop. I dropped my mug. She drove straight into the planters I'd placed to block the shortcut, ran over both, scraping her bumper, cracking the fender, tires chewing gravel. Sky screamed and ran back toward me. The SUV stopped halfway through the gate opening. Karen stepped out, white-knuckled and breathing hard. "There's your block," she snarled. She held something in her hand. I thought it was a phone. It wasn't. It was a wrench. I stepped between her and my daughter, hand on my hip, not reaching for anything, just ready. "You're trespassing, Karen. Again. I'm reclaiming public access." "This is my land," I growled. "I am the president of this community. Then the community just impeached you." Behind me, neighbors had started coming out of their homes. Angela, Mr. Hill, Greg. One even had his phone out, recording. Karen raised the wrench like she wanted to swing it at me. At the lock. I don't know. But she hesitated. Officer Alston pulled up at that exact moment. He stepped out slow, as if he knew exactly what he was walking into. Karen Mitchell, he said calmly. Put the tool down. Step away from Mr. Doyle's property. Her hand trembled. Then she dropped the wrench. She sank to the ground and started sobbing. They didn't cuff her this time, not right away, but they did escort her to the cruiser. Neighbors watched in silence. No jeers, no celebration, just that deep, uncomfortable stillness when someone finally hits the edge they've been skirting for far too long. Karen didn't scream this time. She just asked, quietly, "Why does no one understand me?" Alston answered gently, "Because you stopped understanding everyone else." That night, Bellwood held its first real community meeting. It wasn't in a fancy clubhouse. It was in Angela's backyard, folding chairs, lemonade pitchers, real talk. We all shared what we'd been through under Karen's reign. Greg talked about the time she threatened to report him for improper signage when he listed a home without her approval. Angela shared how Karen stood on her porch for 20 minutes scolding her for having too many succulents. A younger couple admitted she once left a flyer under their windshield calling them negligent parents for letting their toddler run barefoot on their lawn. It wasn't just my battle. It had been everyone's. We just hadn't realized it yet. And together, we decided something simple. No HOA, ever. Instead, we formed a community board rotating volunteers. No power over property, just collaboration. The first thing we voted on unanimous support to turn the gravel strip into a community garden. I hired a local landscaping crew to clean up the damage. We tore out the tire ruts, dug fresh beds, planted lavender, rosemary, and a row of bee-friendly flowers. Skylar picked the spot for the sunflower patch. We put up a new wooden arch at the edge of the gravel path. A carved sign read, "No shortcuts, just roots." Karen never came back. Her house was sold quietly 2 months later, through a third-party management firm. Rumor is she moved to a private development in another county. Some said she tried to start a new HOA there. Others say she disappeared into some online forum about sovereign neighborhoods. I don't know. I don't need to. After the wrench hit the ground and Karen was driven away, something shifted in Bellwood. It wasn't a celebration. It was a breath, a release, the kind of collective exhale that only comes after someone finally says the thing no one dared to. This is not normal. And somehow, I'd been the one who said it. Skylar asked me that night, "Is Ms. Karen going to jail?" I hesitated. "I don't know yet, sweetheart. But I think she's going to get help, or at least she'll be stopped." She nodded like she accepted that, but then added, "She should say sorry to the flowers too." And honestly, she wasn't wrong. The garden build took a full month, not because it was elaborate, because it was earned. Every plant, every shovelful, every neighbor who showed up with gloves and thermoses of sweet tea felt like we were reclaiming something: dignity, safety, choice. We were turning Karen's battlefield into a place for bees, not battles. Angela organized a schedule for watering and maintenance. Mr. Hill, who had been retired from landscaping since the 90s, helped design the layout. Even the teens from Lot 12 painted signs: "Butterflies welcome and no tyrants beyond this point." The gate Karen had fought so viciously to control. We left it open, but we replaced the latch with a handmade wooden door that creaked in the wind and made birds feel safe enough to nest there. Funny how something meant to block people ended up inviting them in. The legal process dragged on. Karen's HOA was declared a fraudulent organization. The fines from city code enforcement piled up. Greg's forgery complaint went through, and although no jail time came, Karen was ordered to pay restitution to every resident she'd fined over the years, amounting to nearly $19,000. Word spread fast in the real estate world. Her name became a whispered warning among agents. If the buyer mentions a community board but has no records, check for a Karen. I still got the occasional odd message. One morning, an unmarked envelope appeared in my mailbox. Inside was a single page, Typed in block letters, you ruin the order. The weeds will win. No signature. Just a coffee ring stain on the corner. I showed it to Officer Alston. He squinted at it and said, "If this is her, it's not illegal, but it is weird and pathetic." I kept it anyway, not out of fear, out of reminder. Skylar's sunflower patch bloomed by the end of June. Thick, tall stalks with wide yellow faces beamed toward the sky like they'd never known the tire treads Karen had left behind. I found her one evening, lying in the mulch beside them, book in hand, watching bees buzz lazily from petal to petal. "This place used to feel scary," she whispered. "Now it feels like it belongs to everybody." It broke me a little, in a good way. Mid-July brought a surprise, a letter, official, sealed with a city crest. At first I assumed it was another zoning survey or update on Karen's litigation, but it wasn't. It was a commendation. To Mr. Ben Doyle, Civic Contribution Recognition. In acknowledgement of your efforts in de-escalating a fraudulent HOA operation, your protection of community integrity, and the creation of the Bellwood Community Garden, the City of Fallbrook wishes to commend your leadership and perseverance. It was signed by the mayor herself. Angela had submitted the story with photos and quotes from neighbors. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In the end, I just framed the letter and hung it above my workbench in the garage. A reminder that standing your ground doesn't always end in pain. Sometimes it ends in sunflowers. But here's the part no one really talks about: forgiveness. Karen wasn't evil. She was broken. Power had become a drug, and fear of disorder had made her a tyrant in pressed khakis. Somewhere along the line, she decided that control meant safety, and that anyone who didn't bow to her must be a threat. I've met that before, in family, in old bosses, in myself, on my worst days. So when I got a letter 3 months later from a mental health facility in Paso Robles, I opened it. It was from her, typed, short, no signature. I still believe I was trying to protect something, but I see now I was hurting people instead. "I'm sorry I scared your daughter. I'm sorry I couldn't see the line until I crossed it. Thank you for stopping me." I read it twice. Then I sat down and wrote one back. Just 2 words. So was I. 3 months after the confrontation, Bellwood wasn't just healed, it was reborn. The bruises Karen left behind were real emotional scars, legal headaches, a few people who still flinched when they saw an SUV creeping too slow down the street. But something new had grown in the space where her control used to rule, and not just in the garden. In early fall, we held the first Bellwood Together picnic. We set up tables beneath the maple trees. Kids ran between flower beds. Neighbors brought homemade dishes, peach cobbler from the couple on Lot 6, spicy cornbread from the hills, and Skylar's lemon bars, crumbly and imperfect, but radiant with joy. The very center of the gravel patch, where Karen had once demanded my removal, was now a round circle of wildflowers and 3 benches we painted ourselves. On one of them, a plaque read, "Let this be the place where we sat down, not stood over one another." It was Angela's wording. I just paid for the engraving. One thing became clear over time. Karen didn't ruin Bellwood. She revealed it. She revealed how fragile trust can be, how long fear can rule if no one dares speak up, how easy it is for silence to be mistaken for consent. But once someone takes that first step, builds that first block, others follow. She meant to divide us. She ended up forging a community that would never follow blindly again. By winter, the city removed Karen's fake HOA filings from every system. The HOA had never existed legally, but she'd managed to exploit a loophole using recycled bylaws from another defunct subdivision across town. She printed them, faked member signatures, and manipulated real estate listings with subtle pressure on new buyers. One family revealed she'd demanded orientation fees. Another had received an invoice for $300 in parking uniformity violations, which meant their pickup truck was too rural in tone. She'd taken almost $9,000 in fake fees over 2 years. The restitution order was clear. She had to pay every cent back. The court even opened the door for a class action suit if residents wanted to pursue further damages. None of us did. We didn't want revenge. We had our peace. And Karen, she had something far harder to live with being ignored. She tried to return once. It was December, the morning after the first frost. I was shoveling the walkway, Skylar still asleep inside. I heard the crunch of boots on gravel and turned. Karen stood at the edge of the property line. She looked small, not in stature, in presence, like something had folded inside her and never stood back up. She didn't cross the line, didn't speak, just looked at the sunflowers now dried, golden stalks swaying in the wind. Then at me, I nodded. She nodded back and walked away. The last I heard, she sold the Paso Robles house, moved closer to her sister in Oregon. Her name never came up again in local news. No HOA stunts, no outbursts. Nothing, just absence. Sometimes the biggest justice isn't punishment, it's removal. Skylar asked again one night, months later. Why did she hate the garden? I took a long breath. I think she didn't hate it. I think she hated the feeling that someone else was allowed to build something without her permission. She blinked. That's silly. It is. And yet, it happens every day. The Bellwood Community Board became a small legend. Other neighborhoods called us asking how we ran things without a formal HOA. We told them the truth, mutual respect, shared effort, and no single voice louder than the rest. We kept everything optional: block parties, garden maintenance, no punishments, no fines, just people giving what they could. It worked because we worked together. One spring, I found a sprouting vine curling around the old gravel gate. I never planted it, but I didn't remove it either. It wrapped itself up the arch beam slowly, year by year. By its third summer, it bloomed violet flowers that climbed all the way to the top. Someone taped a note beside it one day. Even here, something grows. And that's what I carry forward. Not the drama, not the shouting matches, not even the wrench she nearly swung, but the growth, the stubborn, beautiful, inconvenient truth that communities don't belong to the loudest, they belong to the most consistent, the ones who keep showing up, planting, repairing, listening. So if you ever move to Bellwood, look for the gate made of wood and memory, pass under it, smell the sunflowers, sit on the bench, and if you feel like someone is trying to tell you what you're allowed to grow, remember this. You don't need permission to build something good, just the courage to keep watering it. What do you think makes a neighborhood strong? Should anyone have the power to dictate how others live, dress, or grow their gardens? Let us know below and share your thoughts on justice, community, and how you'd handle a Karen with a fake HOA badge. We'd love to hear your story.